Today, I am going to talk how our Java application can interact to the GenAI. So, whenever we are talking about the GenAI model, generally LLM. So, our applications, which we are going to develop, a tool, a chat box. So, what are the way how my chat bot applications or any applications where we are going to utilize the GenAI model? So, what are the way our Java developer can interact with the LLM? So in short, you can see always we send a input message to LLM, and LLM again responds back to the output message. That's great. So today, our focus, we have to learn what are the different way our Spring AI offer the mechanics through which we can send our message, our input to the Gen AI model. Okay, so the objective of the day to understand the interaction with the Gen AI model. So Spring AI, you can say, introduce a structured way to interact with the AI model using the messages. So overall, whatever your chat Gen AI model we have, general model we have. So here, your Spring Boot application or any application you are building, so they are interact with the Gen AI model with the help of messages. So here, in Spring, we can say this is a message. In general, you can say input, or sometime you can say questions, and the specific terms that Spring AI introduce, or you can say the Gen AI communities uh, termed, instead of asking the message, instead of saying the input, that's the terms generally used known as a prompt. So how a client or application interact with the Gen AI model in the form of messages, that considered as a prompt. So Spring AI develop how we as a Java developer can send our messages in the form of prompt to the Gen AI. And these messages, you can say, very essential. We have to learn how we are drafting our messages and sending to the LLM so that LLM can respond. So you can say messages are essential for controlling how the AI respond and maintaining the conversation state. This is a very, very key, can say, the concept or requirement for your applications which you are going to develop, that's use the capability of a Gen AI model. So we have to learn how we are uh, create, you are generate our message in the terms of prompt. Okay, so in the Spring, you can say Spring AI support several types of messages. So whatever the here you pass, generally you can say input or messages, but messages can be. So whatever the your LLM you are going to communicate, okay, going to communicate. So depend upon the context which you are setting to LLM. Okay. So here in the Java applications, whenever you want to send the message or send the input to LLM, somehow we have to convey our context, our intention, so that our LLM can identify what is the intention of the user, of the client, so that they can reply with a specific context your intention. So you can ask any question, LLM can reply. But if you are asking, giving the proper context, scenario, use case, utility so that model can understand your intention so that they can reply what you really want. So messages here, what the messages you are going to framing or creating, or what kind of input we are sending to LLM, such a message so that our output, whatever the in the response LLM generate me, that's meet my purpose. That solve our use case. So if you are sending very good qualitative, quantitative, descriptive, with well in framed messages to the LLM, LLM can easily understand the user intention and behave and play a role and generate response as your intention. Okay. So for that point of view, Spring have created couple of way to convey user intention to LLM. So this is the sometime the terminology say system messages, user messages, assistant messages, and tool messages. Yeah, tooling messages. This is a kind of a optional or advanced. So somehow in the particular scenario situations where we are going to the tool message. So in short, you can say four different types of message in a Spring AI applications we can create and talk to the element. So let's understand one by one what do you mean by system messages, user messages, assistant messages, and tooling messages. Okay, so in the last session, whenever we learn basic about the Spring AI, then you simply say, hey, this is my questions, and we are sending, they are responding. Okay, but sometime I want our LLM can respond according to my intention, not okay. So those scenario they have a different way. Now we can understand how we generate our input prompt. Okay, so somehow you can say system messages. Think it is a rule of engagement of for AI. So system messages, you can say you are setting a rule for the LLM. Hey LLM, hey LLM. No? Generally, if you are not sending any system messages, you just send any prompt and they are responding. But you want, hey LLM, this is the rule for you. You can only reply this context, this situation, this scenario. You are the something expert, or you are knowledgeable of the particular field. So our let's say you are developing application in the form of the financial market. Okay, so if your LLM going to talk, so our intention, our LLM is more specialized and responsible to generating response for the finance market. Okay, so we have to tell some rule. So this system messages play a role so that you can make the rule for your engagement with the AI. That means you are setting some rule. Hey LLM, hey GNA model, you play a role. This is the rule for you. You can respond this question, this question. You don't respond this, you don't respond this. You play a role of this. Okay, so you can say the types of messages also considered as a role. How our model play a role. Let's define AI should behave globally or a specific context. So system messages is the rule of engagement for your AI model. AI model behave what you would like as a application developer. I want our LLM behave like this way. Those set of rule you can define under the system messages. Okay, maybe maybe like a set a behavior or a behavior tone role. So system messages help us to define a rule or behavior or a tone for the LLM. How LLM, while generating response, how LLM behave, what kind of role LLM play? LLM play a role as a finance advisor. LLM play as a role of the technology expert. So you tell, hey LLM, you are the expert in the finance market, or technology, or the medical science. So this tone, behavior, and the role, our application engineer, our we as Java developer can set those tone, set those intention. Okay, hey, you play a role like this. Okay, so this is the system prompt is very important if you are developing application for the specific domain, a specific area, and you want to leverage the capability of Gen AI model. Then you want to tell, hey Gen AI model, you play a role like this, you behave like this. Okay, so you can set the behavior tone of an LLM by the system messages. Okay, so for example, like you are a helpful assistant, and that answer in the short sentences. Sometimes you want our LLM always response a very crisp, very small sentences, not the bigger sentence. But sometimes you want our LLM can respond a very descriptive, very long answer. So you set the tone of the LLM. System messages use us to set the guidelines, a rule, or behavior of a tone on your LLM. So generally, we can use the system messages for the instruction that persist throughout the conversation. Even whatever the communications you are doing with LLM, you have options for each request. You set the behavior. Hey LLM, you play a role like this. But you have options globally. You can set the behavior and tone for your LLM. Okay, so this system messages you can set at the each conversation between your application and LLM model, or even at the global level. Okay. The user message is really your messages, an actual questions or instruction which you want the answer or response from the LLM. So that is known as a user messages. Okay, that's represent the actual input from the end user. Yeah, what kind of instruction, what the questions you want LLM should respond. So those are considered as a user messages. User messages is simple messages are your input as a applications, what kind of response you want from LLM. Okay, so maybe example, explain the AI messages types and example something. So you can say this is the user message, or you can say main query or prompt. So if sometime you can say simple question, simple input, or main query or prompt. So all are the synonym. You can say similar things. Sometimes say you send a prompt. Prompt means intention is a user message. Our input is a user message. So these are the main messages, actual questions which you want to get response from the model. So if you said, hey, this is the user message, this, so that our model actually know, hey, this is the question, actual questions which I want to going to reply, make the generate the response. Assistance, you can say messages are keep a track of what AI said before and enabling context aware response. The meaning that so whenever you ask question to the Gen AI model, a model LLM, they receive the question and they generate response. They are generating response as an assistant, and so that you can aware, hey, this is the my context response. So in further communication, if you want again communication, this assistant response you also can send as an input, so that our LLM can aware, oh, this is my previous response I already generated, this is my previous response already generated, so whatever the next answer I'm going to generate with the context of my previous responses. So you can say as a LLM, whatever the response they're generating as a assistant messages, so actually represent the previous response from the AI. Okay, first time we call whatever the response they're generating, those response generator considered as a your assistant messages, and these messages are very important for future conversation. If you are going to talk to the further question, next answer, so you want to make our AI LLM model aware the context, aware the previous response. So we have to send again back, hey, this is my assistant manager, maintain the conversation history between the multiple communication from the application to the GenAI model. Okay, so this is very, very, you can say, useful in the case of you want to maintain the conversation history, right? So let's say, hey, you can say here from your application, say application set LLM. Okay, hey, my name is uh, John. Again, you ask, what is my name? So might be saying, hey, you don't know, LLM don't know your name because LLM is the stateless. You ask one question, hey, this is my name is John. So he aware, hey, hi John, how are you? Great. Again, you ask, what is my name? LLM don't know. So somehow you have to maintain, hey, my name is John, what your response? So both questions and answer and the new question, hey, what is my name? If you club and prompt and send again to the LLM, then LLM aware, hey, your name is this. So what happened whenever you can say your application say, hey application say, hello, I am John. Hi, I am a I am a John. Okay, I am John. So he responds, okay, hi John, how are you? Hi John, how are you? So in the this message one and this is a response two. Next time you question ask, hey, what is my name? What is my name? So he say, hey, I don't know about the name because LLM is the stateless. They are not aware anything of your previous response. So our to maintain the conversation history, whenever next question I ask, somehow we maintain. Ki by first message, hi, I am John. The what the assistant's response to, hey, John, how are you? And plus my new question three, my new question, hey, my what is my name? What if everything you combine and send this LLM, so LLM aware, hey, first conversation, second conversation, and third conversation. So he know, oh, okay, your name is John. They can say, hey, your name is John. You ask, what is my name? There is no John. So maintain the conversation history. We require the assistant messages to maintain the conversation history. And third, another types of messages, you can say tooling messages, or tool callback messages, or you can say functional message or capability. Somehow, whenever your application talk to the LLM model, large language model, and some informations maybe in your specific application specific or domain specific, or maybe in your particular database, maybe particular in file system you have, those information your LLM don't know. Okay, your LLM don't know, but if you ask some question, maybe LLM cannot reply, or LLM can reply some vague answer that you are not interested. So somehow, sometime you want LLM, whenever we as a ask to LLM, somehow LLM can also generate response with my custom data, with my custom functions. Okay, so those scenario Spring given the capability. Okay, don't problem. You can define your own functions in your application and anywhere, and just those functions consider a toolbox. Okay, tool messages. Tool messages add the external computation or data into the conversation. So whenever we are going to send messages a prompt, you can say this is the original message and this is the tools, this is the three tool you have a three tool available. Whenever while generating response for my data you require this tool data, then our framework internally Spring AI internally call this tool and provide the actual detailed information to the LLM, so that while LLM generating response, they can utilize my external data or computation. That means the tooling messages help our LLM. They can generate response with the data that's externally we provide directly or indirectly. Okay, so this is known as a your tooling messages. In the programming terminology, you can say it is a set of functions. In the your code base, you can define lots of methods. These methods have a sub different purpose, and in just in the Spring point of view, you can mark this function as a tool, and this tool you register. Okay, so whenever our Spring ecosystem, they know these are the tool available. Whenever LLM required to generate prompt and they need some tool external data, computation data, then is our Spring ecosystem can provide this additional information to the LLM, and LLM can generate response with this additional your external data. External means that maybe your internal local data or any third party API, any where from you want to get the data. So objective is that LLM can generate response with external data, not the LLM, the model which I have trained. Okay, so model LLM model is every model. Whenever you are going to use, they have a training data. They know on this date we have a sufficient information I can generate. But beyond that data, you want to have LLM can generate some data where if LLM don't train on those data, LLM cannot respond. So tooling help us. Don't worry. These have my additional influence. Whenever you are generating response, you can utilize my the external computational data. So this is the tool. Our tooling is a mechanism where our Spring ecosystem provide those external data information to the model, so that while the model can generate response with the my external data as well as. Great. So these are kind of, I can say, Spring ecosystem in a Spring. Whatever the messages API, so these kind of messages we can you can say role or messages, maybe system messages, user messages, assistant managers messages, and tool messages. Internally, this is known as a different message type, and while sending these messages, maybe tool response, system response, user message, assistant message, and different kind of low level designs already implemented by the Spring ecosystem. The overall objective of different kind of messages is that whenever our applications are interact to the LLM, they provide the sufficient context, sufficient detailed background information, so that while generating response by the Gen AI model, they can consider our data as well as. Okay, so let's talk the scenario use cases. Where you can use the system messages, prompt messages, and some other scenario. And we will look the low. So, for example, you are just tell, hey, LLM, you are the helpful assistant, and after you set the tone and role of the your LLM, hey LLM, you are the helpful assistant, and if someone asks the question, assistant then going to reply, hey, explain the Java stream or anything. So our expected response, they can respond very clear concise explanation about the Java, but you set tone, hey, you are the helpful assistant. Sometimes say, hey, you are the rude assistant. So you are tell the rule about the, and after asking the same question, maybe they are reply something you are not interested. Okay, so the response, how response, what kind of response our Gen AI model generate, you can set them as well as. Okay, so let's look one simple demo how we can set this system messages and user messages. Okay, so in the I have already in the last session we discussed how we can create our simple Spring AI application. Nothing in our Palm applications. In our Palm, we have just added the your dependency about the Spring AI starter, and whatever the model you are using, you can use. Okay, and after that we can simply generated one simple controller or simple controller applications, and overall how our application interact to the LLM model or Gen AI using the chat client. The chat client is already provided by our Spring AI, and you can instantiate this using the chat builder object. So last class we discussed how can you get chat builder, and whenever you are the chat client have an option, prompt and call and get content. So whenever you're getting the call method, they're going to the call our actual LLM. Prompt here is considered as your messages. So last session we are just understanding the prompt, but now we know this prompt can be system prompt or can be user prompt or maybe tooling box. So let's how you are going to set, hey, this prompt is a uh, user prompt or system prompt. Okay, so by default, if you are not specifying anything, this prompt considered as your user prompt. Question is how? So internally, Spring have implemented this concept, right? So notice they implemented as a new prompt. What are the context you pass? They create the user prompt. And if you look here, internally they create the user messages. So by default, in the prompt, you pass any context that by default Spring AI consider this is your as a user messages. So here by default user messages. But question is okay, how we can set the system messages? If let's run this application and let's run this application, and you can ask any question. So they are started application at 08, and you can let's ask some question. Okay, so let's maybe here what is the your API. So here is the AI API, and after that I can pass this prompt, and whatever the question you want, you pass key what is the weather in Delhi or anywhere. So they are going to respond something. Hey, something response they come. But sometime you want to set. No, this is the I want to send like here mention. Let's case send. Hey, you are the Java expert and only answer Java related question answer. So this is the system message. The question is that key where I can set this question user messages, system messages. So good part here. So Spring AI say, don't worry. Here, instead of passing prompt, you just clean them, and now you can have a two option. One have a system prompt, and one have a user prompt. Okay. So in this way, you can now set, hey, this is a prompt, but some prompt can be system prompt, user prompt. Here, in the case of system prompt, I can say change the behavior. Okay, change the behavior. Hey, you are the Java expert and only answer Java related question. Else say, I'm sorry, I can only not answer the question. So if you set the tone here, we as a application, we are going to communicate with our Gen AI model. So you are going to set, hey, this is the hey system LLM, you are your role is the Java expert, and you can only reply Java related question answer. Don't reply other things. Okay, and if you are and after that, whatever the question asks, if your question asks related to Java, they can only reply. If you're not asking, maybe they're not reply something. Okay, so let's test and just run it. Okay, port is already used. Okay, stop. Okay, now we start. 808 application is started. Just clean. And let's check the again question. Now, no question. If I'm asking what is the, maybe you can ask this right now. So they reply, hey. I'm sorry, I can only answer question related to Java. So now we, as a Spring Client or AI, set the tone of LLM. Previously, LLM are responding this question, but now LLM, you are a set a specific role. LLM play at this role. So let's ask question some. What is the Java default method? Default method. Okay. So he will know he is expert in the Java. They can response reply the answer with related to the Java. So in this is way, okay, finally they are reply the code sample they are getting, right? So this is the way you can say you are able to set the tone of your model. Okay, hey, you are expert in Java, so they are reply. So any different kind of role you can set. Even this prompt you can set on the every API call, or even you can set this call in your chat client itself. So here you have option you can set default system, whatever the default system prompt. Okay, here you can also set. We have a two option global set. Let's see here I can comment. And let us set another example, like maybe you are the expert in finance. So if someone asks, hey, you are the expert in finance, so now I can set in the global. Okay. So now we have set our prompt in global, and if someone asks question, now this is already set by the client while building the client. So this every communication with the help of this client considered as a play role of the finance expert. So if you something ask question related the weather or something, we will not reply. Okay. So let's restart and let's ask a question. Okay. Okay. So notice, I'm sorry, I am the finance related question. If you ask question related finance, they are small. So we have options. You can set your system to messages or tone as a while creating the client with the help of. So this is a beauty whenever you are going to create the client chat client with the help of builder have a lots of default setting, so that on every let's you have developed a different API, so every place you don't need to set. So here we don't need to set right now. So this is the way your prompts are system prompts or user prompts. Similarly, like uh, tooling. Similarly, we have a different tool here. You can dot default default tool. So here are all the lots of default tools name, tools, and you can set whatever the default tool here I have right now. So this is the way you can set the default tool, default system, and again, user prompts always go with the actual question. So this is the way whenever you are building a chat client, the chat client API offer us to different flavors. You are think. So whenever you are just calling, hey, chat client dot prompt. So by default, this is considered as a default user message, your original message, a question message. But so here you are just rely on the default behavior of LLM. LLM can respond whatever the question you ask. A response can be anything. It may be according to your intention or without intention. But sometime you want our application behavior response should be according to my domain, according to my area of expertise. Then you have options. Then you can go and set your, hey LLM, I'm going to set your roles. Okay, hey LLM, this is your role. You are playing, you consider yourself as a technical technology expert and reply technology question, or you are the finance expert, or you are a weather related expert and you can respond them. So this is the utility where chat client have option say we can set the system messages, and system message means we are setting the roles of an LLM. While generating response, LLM behave like this way. And again, your actual message now go under the user message. So here, notice system and user messages have a multiple overloaded method. You can directly pass as a text, or you can pass as any resources and chat set, or you can resources any part, or any similar consumer. The similar text. So they are overloaded. You can say these methods available in the chat client fluent API. So depend upon your use case. Sometimes you can use a different. Okay. So intention is that you can get response as per your expectation. So those expectation you can set with the LLM model. So always try to set the system messages. Reason is that you have to going to enforce a particular topic, because your applications, whatever the application you are developing, that's solely for a specific domain, a specific purpose. They are going to serve the specific scenario. So why you are not said, hey LLM, you are the response very specific to my module or my domain or my area of expertise, so that the LLM also generate response as per your context. Okay, and also maintain the assistant messages to for the context in the multi-run conversation. And whatever the response LLM generating, you have to note down. This is the assistant messages, and every response you note down, and whatever the question you note down, and maintain the conversation history, so that next conversation can be very fruitful with the help of your context. So good things always use the system messages, because your application is always for a particular domain, a particular purpose. So that's you can say you are tuning your system behave like this way. Okay, and if all the prompts are related detail, if you want really, so how Spring AI implemented all the prompt concepts, so you can just consider everything detail about the prompt, and what are the different types of prompts, how prompt in the Spring AI as one class that implement the model request. And here different options we have. Messages can be different types, which I explain here. So these messages prompt can be considered as a roles, like system role, user role, assistant role, and tool or functions call role. And these are the internally as a message type assistant. And different prompt template also available whenever we particular prompt and the runtime you want to replace some value. Prompt template is like here, tell me the name of five movie which sound or track was composed by the particular composer. The runtime, while using the different variables, you can replace here with a prompt template. So prompt template help us to generate the random run times, different messages. Right now, so lots of detailed example also available. You can use the example how user messages, system messages, and even the system messages also you can with a template here mention some variable name, and you can give the some value. And runtime, whenever you're going to create system message template and provide the system message template and all the variable, you can set the variable name in the map. Hey, this is the name variable, and what is the value? This is the vice variable. What is the value? Okay, so this is the way you can just look out. So even particular, let's say particular file system, you have some resources. You tell this is my complete resources system prompt. You can properly write one your system prompts in the particular file, and those file you mention here resources, and set this is system template. So lots of details available here, and a different way, simple technique and advanced technique, how we are going to generate the prompt with a different context and scenario. So there is good context information available, and we'll talk a lot. But if you want detail, let's read out this document. That's official document of Spring AI for us. So this is the basic about your prompt or your query or question, you can say. So whenever you are going to use your LLM in your application, LLM in your applications, okay, so always try to set a whatever your applications going to ask prompt and they are going to get the response. Always try to maintain the conversation history so that our LLM can aware what the previously they respond, that is known as assistant messages, and whatever user messages you are passing. And also you can set the hey tone system messages, hey this is the system message and this is the user message, and system messages tell hey whenever LLM going to LLM by default they generate the very kind of a simple input, simple response. Here somehow our Spring library properly communicate the role of the LLM while generating response. LLM can use those system prompt. Okay, so that's a very control mechanism. Prompt is very key. You can say Sina terminology or the technique where every application developer we have to learn how we are going to phrase the user prompt, how we can going to phrase the system prompt. So our Gen AI model, whatever the response they generate, this response according to what we are expectation. So our prompts is facilitate us to convey my intention, and prompt also help us to LLM can understand my intention. According to my intention, they can generate, LLM can generate the content what we really want, so that the purpose of my application can be served, and a customer or my client will happy because they are getting the response as the his intention at the purpose, what kind of response they are expecting. So from the Gen AI model, Gen AI can generate the content, generate the response. That response would be what really I want. So for those scenario, whatever the question you was, whatever the prompt you are setting, the prompt should be properly set, the properly system context and properly user context, so that and properly tooling messages, so that you are getting the properly well defined descriptive, concise, and clear response from the LLM. Hope this information give you the very basic little idea how you can think to send the your context with your user request or message or input, and you can get the your intended response from the LLM. Thank you.